Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This is a very large blue glass overlay vase and I have an appropriately coloured scale bar here. There you go, alcoholic scale bar, and yeah, really enormous. I can get my whole arm in there. I was about 30 centimeters tall. I paid I think $120 plus postage, Australian dollars, and it weighs 2.5 kilos. Kind of lightens as it reaches the maximum of its circumference, and that's because probably when it was blown or possibly molded, it would have stretched the glass thinner, and then as it's where it pinches back, where it's narrow, the glass has remained thick, and so it's a darker colour. So I don't know if this was just completely blown or perhaps put into a mold just to form the basic shape before it was cut, but anyway, that's that explains the colour. And we have these very interesting, very large, perfectly circular cuts here, really quite nice windows through to the other side. You have some ellipse cutting, a little long with little fans in between, and then sort of almost a truncated ellipse to form an arch shape along the bottom with vertical cuts in between. Just a notch cut rim. Those are actually clear, and yeah, it looks quite cool from the top. It's a very interesting vase, and you don't generally see this sort of what I would call like modern art style cutting on Bohemia. So you just don't see that design freedom in those pieces. I think it might be Val Saint Lambert is my absolute best guess, but it could be Bohemia, it could be Japanese, it could be German, I just don't know. But there are some Val Saint Lambert pieces with this sort of lighter blue and these circular and more sort of ellipsoidal style cuts, but I cannot find one that's the same, and I cannot find a vase by anyone that has this same shape. It's kind of a conventional shape, if a little bit classical or even oriental. So a mystery. Yeah, and wear, it's a moderate amount of wear, so just a little roundness to the cutting, but I've seen that on Val Saint Lambert that I've owned before that was actually signed. And I reconditioned the inside with some metal polish. Really, I'm kind of I'm pulling a bit of a trick, because the polish, being paraffin based, it settles inside the porosity and it makes the misting basically disappear, even if you haven't scrubbed off all of the roughness with the polish. So I just went through with a rag and some lightning bright metal polish for about 10 minutes. There's a big band of misting here, and I've made it disappear. I'll paste in some before and after photographs, but it's just made it look like $1 million. I've cleaned it properly. She only amateur cleaned it. There's lots of grime in all of these cuts, so yeah, it's looking like $1 million. Mysterious comport, or is it? A much darker blue, almost a very slight purple tone to it. Yeah, just simple circular sort of cuts, notches in between the lobes. The lobes actually just sort of fold up on the rim there. Same around the foot. This is what they would call a Bohemia sort of late 19th century or possibly early 20th century piece. It's very murky trying to find out exactly where and when this stuff was made, I got to admit, so feel free to comment on what your view is. But the listing said it had a hollow stem. Now, I'd been eyeing this piece off for a couple of months, and it's just an odd shape, and it occurred to me, is it a pineapple stand, after watching one of the Love Decanters videos. Now, when he said it had a hollow stem, I thought it might be hollow all the way through, so you could poke like a stick all the way through the whole thing. I have had pieces like that before and always wondered what they really were. And so I just bought it and unpacked it today, and it's not hollow all the way through. It's just hollow from that side up until the base of the bowl. Now, it'd be hard to get this on camera, but there is like an undercut to the bowl here, so I can put the tip of my finger and make it disappear around there. It's a little bit strange, but it doesn't go all the way through. So is it just a comport or a Taza? It's just got this very squat, clunky almost shape to it, and the way the edge just suddenly curls up like that, I don't know. Probably is just a comport. The pineapple stands that I've seen photos of, they're often wider at the base, and then the top is like relatively small in diameter, something like that. But I have seen some alleged pineapple stands that have this kind of shape, and it is actually just the right size for a pineapple. Just for reference, 14 centimeters. So just a sort of cut and polished rim, and really quite a lot of wear. It was $145 Australian. I'm also interested in learning about overlay glass. I have a vase which I haven't shown on the channel, which compared to this is actually even better, and this allows me to be more informed about the quality of my other piece, which I've never identified after owning it for about 6 or 7 years. We have this magnificent drinking glass here. In fact, we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but we actually have 6 of these. And let's just look at one. I try not to bang them into each other. You have a hollow pedestal stem. I'm adopting the terminology that I found on the Scottish Antiques website, so I think that's a perfect description now. Panel cut, or they would call it slice cut, bowls, plain feet, and obviously the most noteworthy feature is this incredible peacock blue. Hopefully the colour balance is about right. They might be showing just a little more blue on the camera, but they're just this remarkable colour. You know, not too green, not too blue, just this very magical peacock blue. Be a glass video without checking out the underside now. Is it going to show the pontil? There's the polished pontil for you. And on all of these, the only contact point is the very fucking edge of the rim. It's always really annoying. So very hard to gauge the wear. I'll try and get some shots on a macro lens and zoom in on that. We do have the odd air bubble. There's one just in front of my thumbnail there. And this one might not have as many in the actual glass. Hopefully there you can see a string of air bubbles, and some of them are actually inclusions or seeds, so there's some impurities to the glass. Pretty good ring considering the shape, quite decent thickness to the glass. And if you look at the width of the feet, you see that they're much wider than the bowls. Also slight inconsistency to the height. There's no blip from the shearing, but that, because these are obviously quite high quality pieces, that probably would have been removed somehow. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but kind of very, very light striation. This one I can see it with the naked eye a bit more. There you go. It's a crazing or crackling effect, and I'm not sure if that's just from scratching during cleaning, but I can't really get it to show. Maybe on the inside there, you can just start to see it. Anyway, Are they actually as old as they're meant to be? The Scottish Antiques website would date pieces like this anywhere from the 1830s to the 1870s, and it's a little bit lost on me exactly why they're dating some later than others. I think the width of the feet versus the bowl, points towards an earlier date. The polished pontal, puts it after 1800. I don't want to wed myself to this bracket, but it's generally thought of as being like 1820 to 1860, or late 1860s. However, I'm actually not sure if these aren't modern, because they're in such good condition. All 6 of them are free of chips, and just not a lot of wear. I don't mind if they are modern. They're extremely well made. Very nice colour. But then you think, well, they do have the little bubbles and the inclusions. The inclusions probably wouldn't be there if they're modern, so that's very strange. And there's a set of 6 of them, and they've all magically stayed together since Victorian times, if that's how old they are. So if I were to claim them to be Victorian, I think I'd have to put it late Victorian, just to be safe. But then again, there's no gadget mark on these. I can imagine maybe somewhere in Europe they were making these in the old style, polished pontal and everything. Not really sure. I only paid $125 for the 6 of them, which is extremely cheap. And I really like them. Unfortunately, I probably will have to sell them. I might keep a pair for myself. I don't know, it seems a shame to break them up. This one has a little bit of roughness on the outside of the panel. I'm not sure if that could be a sign or something. So the seller claimed they were Victorian. Obviously, I like to be a little critical and try and work this out for sure. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have any insights, and I'll see you in the next